wanted to say that because of the questions, I didn't get a chance to say. So, I'm gonna go through this, may add a piece or two here or there, and afterwards, whatever you wanna ask. I think the first thing is the pacemaker. And I'm gonna give credit to Dr. C in Arizona, who was with the White Sox. So I was down there for the mini camp and the early part of camp before the major league camp started, and he noticed that I wasn't right. So he's the one that got me to go get checked. And had he not pushed me, and I'd gone in, I don't know when or if I would have had it. But the statement says, this February I had a pacemaker installed and was cleared by my doctors to begin spring training as scheduled. A periodic check of the device is mail. You put it on there, they send them information. Later identified a problem. So during that batting practice on August 30th, I was asked to come into the office. Had no idea why. And I was informed of the issue. And they convinced me that it was serious enough where I had to take the uniform off and I had to be tested by doctors the next day. So I went to Rush, was tested, and their diagnosis was that there were issues with the pacemaker. I went to Arizona because that's where it was installed, and that's where all my medical records are. So the solution was to update the pacemaker in Arizona and not to return as manager without medical clearance. Now, every year since the early 90s, the 80s, I would take a physical first part of February, private, my doctor at the Mayo, which I did. So this preceded it. During the annual private exam, a second health issue also was diagnosed. I decided to delay confronting it until the off season. While I was inactive with the pacemaker and not a uniform, it was suggested to me that maybe it's a good time, rather than wait another 3 weeks to get it checked. I went and got checked. The result is they corrected that there was an issue that needed to be taken care of, so a corrective plan has been developed by my medical team, and implementation has already begun. I informed the White Sox of the second issue while I was out of uniform dealing with the pacemaker. In fact, it wasn't really till a little while that my family, I thought it wasn't smart to talk about it. As I previously stated, I continue to request privacy related to my health issues. Appreciate those who have respected that request. My prognosis is good. I want to thank everybody who's reached out with well wishes related to my health. Now this is important. At no time this season did either issue negatively affect my responsibilities as White Sox manager. Have you heard me say, well, 2 years? I learned early on, you got to earn respect and you got to earn trust. And the way you have trust is never lie. So, sincerely say that anything that you saw this year as a White Sox man, whether it was energy, decision making, whatever, there was nothing related to the two issues. Now, however, that I'm in the treatment program, it's become obvious that the length of the treatment and recovery process for the second issue makes it impossible to be the manager in 2023. The timing of this announcement enables the front office to include filling the manager position with their all-season priorities. Now I want to talk a little bit about this season. Our team's record this season is a final reality. It's always about what your record is. And people will look at it, say, well, you know, you did this, that was good, or, you know, you should have done it. But we are our record. And it's an unacceptable disappointment. There are some pluses, no doubt, but too many minuses. These are lessons that I was taught early on that have saved me over the years. In the major leagues, you either do or you don't. Explanations come across as excuses. Respect and trust demand accountability. And I've lived faithfully with that during my managerial career. I understand the ultimate responsibility for each minus this season belongs to the manager. That's accurate because there's always something else you could do. I was hired to provide positive difference-making leadership and support. Our record this year is proof I did not do my job. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, what's going forward. The 20 and 21 seasons were important positive steps for this organization, and ended with playoff baseball. I and we take pride in the 21 season because our team dealt with the pressure of being labeled the favorite and still earned a division championship, and in fact posted winning records in each of the 6 months, season 6 months. Now, why did I mention that? I started to have had more time kind of chronicle how many times a team has looked good, and in fact, after you sign Liam and you trade for Lance, so what you got, young players a year older, that you become, in that division, the favorite. And in my opinion, you guys can check this, in my opinion, more times than not, that pressure is such a distraction that the team fails to survive it and prove that the experts were right. And we did. And I think that says a lot about what's in that clubhouse and what they can do when their minds are right and as they can continue to improve learning how to play the game. Last year they won the division with that pressure and those expectations. In 2022, we have some movement in the wrong direction. Whether you win or lose, but now especially, but actually win or lose. We did it we won last year, but especially if you lose. The key now is to figure out what is right versus what's wrong. I'm convinced this process will be productive in our organization. Players will be receptive. The future for this team remains very bright. Almost done. At no time have I been disappointed or upset with the White Sox fans, including those who at times chanted "Fire Tony." Never disappointed or upset. A little embarrassed. They come to games with passion for our team and a strong desire to win. Loud and excited when we win, rightly upset when we play poorly. I have an example here, and I'm going to add one more that we just talked about a little bit ago. A great example of this support came in Game 3 of last year's Division Series. No disrespect intended to any of my other teams and their fans. But that night, it was the most electric crowd I personally have ever experienced. Those are White Sox fans. What I would add, for those of you that remember 1983, the night we won the division with Harold's sacrifice fly, it's not like it is now. Fans jumped the fences and ran on the field. So we had this amazing experience where we were all celebrating. Fans were all around us, congratulating, hugging. I mean, it was, I'll never forget it. You can't do that anymore. So I think about the fans in '83, in 2021 game 3, and that's why I say I could never be disappointed or upset with a White Sox fan. Just have to understand, you know, play as hard as you can, as good as you can. And here's the last part. because of what I said. You take the good of 2021, mistakes of 2022, you analyze them, you figure out how to get better. So I write, I am sincerely disappointed that I'm leaving without the opportunity to finish what I was brought in to do. I was fortunate, the early White Sox, St. Louis and Oakland, it was a happy ending. I do not like this one, but the health is more important. But I will always appreciate the chance to come back home to the White Sox and leave a day with many more good memories than disappointments. That opportunity in 2021 is the latest example. I've said many times, no manager in the history of the game has ever had more good fortune than I have. That's it, thanks.
As Tony said, he will